law and order. It's a banana republic that we're living in. There's the scales of justice are not are weighted for the beautiful people. The blindfold is off justice, et cetera, et cetera. And it's just so true. And I was just telling Steve during the break, there was a Harvey Silverglate is a lawyer in Boston. I've known him for a long, long time. He used to handle political corruption cases, and he wrote a book. He was in the CLU, the Mass Commission, Mass Civil Liberties Union, and he wrote a book called Three Felonies a Day. And the title tells you all you need to know. He's basically saying that if you're a normal person, you probably commit at least 3 felonies a day. Whatever you don't even think about what they are, but everybody commits crimes. There's so many laws on the books. Just for instance, there's 1,200 motor vehicle laws. They're not felonies, obviously, but they can stop you for whatever they want. And so if they want to get you, they can get you. And this whole thing about nobody ever went to prison for lying about sex, like they said about Bill Clinton, that's just such nonsense. And he's the one that signed the legislation into law that allowed people in sexual harassment civil cases to ask the defendants about their sexual history, because he never thought it would be used against him. He never dreamed that it would be used against a liberal Democrat, a beautiful person. But guess what? It was. And it cost him his law license, and it cost him $850,000 that he had to pay Paula Jones. Just a couple more things here. Debate moderators Anderson Cooper and Martha Raddatz interrupted Republican nominee Donald Trump much more than they did Hillary Clinton during last night's debate. Trump was interrupted 26 times compared to Clinton's comparatively few 12 interruptions throughout the course of the debate. But that's down from the previous debate. Lester Holt interrupted Trump 42 times. Now the funniest thing was when I think it was 10:10. I was watching the clock at the time. At 10:10, Trump was just kind of stumbling all over himself, trying to answer the Aleppo question and the Syria question. And Martha Raddatz decides to just go one-on-one with him. She couldn't resist. For 70 minutes, she had bitten her tongue and not gone all Candy Crowley on Donald Trump. But finally, she couldn't resist. Got it? This is the cut where she interrupts him.
She campaigned where the primary part of her campaign.
I want to get to audience questions and online questions.
So she's allowed to do that, but I'm not allowed to respond.
You're going to get to respond right now.
That sounds fair.
Well, we turned over 35,000, so it was.
What about the other 15,000?
Please allow her to respond. She didn't talk while you talked.
Hillary Clinton wants to allow.
And why did it morph into that? Answer the question.
Why don't
you still believe
her? You
I
interrupt
do.
me all the time. Why don't you
Would
interrupt
you
her?
please?
I'm going to be able to. You're going to have plans.
What does that mean?
Well, I'll tell you what it means. Well, I just want
There's been lots of fact-checking on that. I'd like to move on to an online question.
She just went about 25 seconds over her time.
She
Could
did
I
not.
just respond to this, please? I'd like to know, Anderson, why aren't you bringing up the emails? I'd like to know. Why aren't you
We
getting
brought up
to
the
bottom?
emails.
No, it hasn't.
Ken Carpowitz has a question.
It's nice to 1-on-3.
Ann Coulter is joining us now. She's the author of In Trump We Trust, and she's going to be with us in a couple of weeks at the Kowloon in Saugus and at the Hukilau in Chicopee. And we're looking forward to seeing you, Ann. And were you happy with the debate performance last night?
Yes, me too. We'll be selling my book.
That's right.
In Trump We Trust.
In Trump We Trust. E pluribus awesome.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Were you concerned going in, Ann, that maybe they had finally, gut shot him? I mean, not that he deserved to be gut shot on this, but they were. I mean, have you ever seen such hysteria, especially from the Clintons of all people?
Well, I've never seen anyone come under such relentless attack, not only from the media, but from both political parties. You might want to ask yourself why that would be the case, but they've just been using a battering ram against Trump for more than a year now. And so, yeah, when the tape first broke, I thought, okay, I guess the odds were one of their attacks would finally work. And then over the next 24 hours, long before the debate started, I thought, no, I think they've taken this one too far. Not the media that ignored JFK, Teddy Kennedy killing a girl and then running for president, not with an apology, but rather as the conscience of the Democratic Party 11 years later, exactly 11 years later. The party that told me and the media that told me for an entire year during the Clinton impeachment, everybody does it, let's move on, it's no big deal. The media that covered for John Edwards having an affair with while on his dying wife, getting his mistress pregnant, and we have the memo from the Los Angeles Times, the editor of the Los Angeles Times, instructing his bloggers, not to mention the National Enquirer report. That story had to be broken by the National Enquirer, but Trump runs, and suddenly you have teams of researchers and interns going through any hot mic conversations, which everyone has, and things they would be embarrassed about, and you get hooked up, even professionals. You forget that you have a mic on you. Yeah, these were vulgar comments, and I bet if we had them, we'd have vulgar comments from Lawrence O'Donnell and Anderson Cooper. You don't need the hot mic. The media also spent all of 2010, referring to Tea Partiers as a homosexual sex act. We didn't have to wait for a hot mic conversation for those.
Well, what about in the 1990s? We had Vernon Jordan quoted in several publications as saying he and Bill Clinton discussed the P word when they're playing golf in the golf carts out on Martha's Vineyard, right? I mean, that's multiple magazines have reported that.
Right. That's right. And so I think the media, they're, fainting Victorian Virgin act. I think it backfired. People were really angry at the media. And as long as this is the media against Trump, Trump wins. So it doesn't matter, I suspect, I hope, because it's for the sake of the country. I think they are going to get more tapes. Right now, MSNBC is holding casting calls for any loon who will come forward and falsely accuse Trump of actually grabbing her or doing something to her. Come on, give me a break. He's been a billionaire for a long time. He's had thousands of female employees at The Apprentice, at his beauty contest, Miss Universe. He has attractive men and women working at his various clubs and golf courses. And with the media and the New York Times deploying their top investigative reporters on it, they can't get a single claim of a woman saying that he ever acted inappropriately toward her. And I promise you, in the last few weeks, they will produce someone. She will be the belle of the ball all over the media. And as soon as the election is over, they won't return her phone calls.
And did you see the Huffington Post story this afternoon about Cyndi Lauper apparently was managing somebody who wanted to get on The Apprentice or one of his shows, and so Donald Trump said, "You got to do something about her skin. She's got bad skin." And so this is the big crime of the day that he wanted her to go to a dermatologist. They're portraying this like it's a scandal.
And Bill Clinton raped a woman, and the media, NBC held that tape. Remember, NBC, we had all those buttons, free Lisa Myers. She's the one who had done the report.
I remember the quote. I just saw it again today. It reminded me. You know what Lisa Myers told Juanita Broderick after she did the interview. The good news is you're very credible. The bad news is you're very, very credible. Meaning, in other words, that she was so credible that they weren't going to touch it with a 10-foot pole. And they put it on Dateline, but yeah. Go ahead.
They specifically held it until after the Senate impeachment trial. Specifically held it. They're just sitting there waiting. But no, this could influence something. No, we can't let it run. It ran after the Senate voted to acquit Bill Clinton. This is how the media operates. They are not just, we got some news, we're going to report it. No, they hold things and they report it strategically, as they did last Friday, hoping this would be the big bombshell, destroy him. The second debate, he'd be frazzled. But to the contrary, as we've seen with Donald Trump before, he comes back. When he's under attack, that's often when he's at his best, and boy, was he at his best last night.
How about the fact, too, Ann Coulter, that she said in one of these WikiLeaks speeches to Goldman Sachs that she's for open borders. Open borders. I mean, I think that's a little bigger problem for the future of the United States of America than than Donald Trump, his untoward remarks to some fool named Billy Bush. You know, open borders.
Absolutely. That's absolutely, completely, 100% what this is about. You should ask yourselves why it is the media and the Democrat and half of the Republican Party are so implacably, hysterically opposed to Donald Trump. It is all about immigration, as I tweeted last week. You know, all these people saying, oh, you have to replace him, including some Republicans. You know, if they start saying you have to replace him and I want you to replace him with Chris Kobach, then I'll believe it's not about immigration. But until then, this is all about immigration. The plutocrats, the powerful, they don't care what kind of country this is. They want the cheap labor, and the Democrats want the votes. That's all this is about.
How about also the fact, all this thing that Tim Kaine said, he used to say as recently as 2012, basically what we say about open borders and what a disaster it is, how it's, just really undermining the country. Now he gets a total pass, even though we have his own words. We have we have audio tape, and these aren't quotes, on the printed page. We have his quotes, thanks to the guy who outed Jonathan Gruber a couple of years ago. And now it turns out today, Ann, that Kaine in 2002 said that he thought that Bill Clinton should have resigned as president because of the Monica Lewinsky scandal. And yet all I see it on is Breitbart. I don't see it anywhere else.
Yes, no, that's true. That's true. I think strategically that is another mistake the media has made in this all-out war on Donald Trump. They were so excited by this hot mic tape, which is embarrassing, and everyone
it's appalling. It's appalling. There's no doubt about it.
Everyone keeps saying, well, Mike Pence says he can't defend it. Well, what are you talking about? Donald Trump says he can't defend it. He apologized. By the way, his video statement Friday night was absolutely magnificent and perfect. And one of the greatest things he said that hadn't really occurred to me, but it's clearly true, and it was clearly genuine. He said in this past year, running for office, he's spoken to millions of Americans, and this year of running for office has changed him. And he has met so many mothers whose children have been killed by illegals. He's met so many coal miners and steel workers out of work, and we have to save our country. And I do believe he is a changed man. You know, he prayed with Ben Carson before the debate last night, asking for forgiveness. And for those of you listening who are my fellow Christians, not only is Trump trying to save the last Christian country on earth, but wow, an awful lot of the people God chooses to work through are horrible sinners, so much worse than anything the left can even fantasize about Donald Trump. King David, Paul, the famous road to Damascus. Well, I think Trump has had his road to Damascus, and he's our only hope.
How about this one? All these stories are coming across the wire so fast, and mainly they're in Breitbart, but I'm sure maybe there'll be other places as well. Now Hillary has admitted that she was lying about the Marines turning her down because she was a woman. Did you see that?
Oh, I knew that from the first moment it came out of her mouth.
No, that's right. We knew, Ann, but now we have it out of her own mouth that she was lying about it. She was.
I still think.
She was asked about it in 2013, apparently. So somebody, one of these paid speeches, somebody obviously didn't believe it, just like none of us believed it. And they asked her about it, and she said, well, let me tell you, here is what actually did happen. It was actually, there was a recruiting station, and it wasn't about her being a woman. It was that she was too old. So she
I don't
lied.
even believe she applied. You see, you're taking this steps far beyond. I think the whole thing is nonsense. The idea that she even applied to be a Marine is on its face preposterous. But I still. But
she's switching the story. She's switching the story around though now. But go ahead. What do you like even better than that? How about the red line? I was not the Secretary of State when the red line was. Really?
Oh yeah, we had another Candy Crowley moment where where the Republican gets corrected on a basic timeline fact involving foreign policy, and it turns out the correction was incorrect. Hillary was still Secretary of State when Obama drew his red line.
That's why the fly landed on her eyebrows, and he wanted to tell her that she was lying and to stop lying. I wonder if that fly is still around this afternoon.
I saw a great photo on Twitter. Maybe you had to see it, but it showed, I think it was Eric Trump and Ivanka Trump sitting in the front row, fiddling with their iPhones, and the heading was, "Trump kids remotely control fly."
I didn't see that one. That's great. Ed Coulter, what's the title of your book if people want to get it before your appearances with me in a couple of weeks? What's the title?
In Trump We Trust, E Pluribus Awesome. And it is awesome. It's fantastic. You can get it through my webpage, Amazon, hopefully any bookstore, and complain if they don't have it. Lots of new information. It's not just one of these crap-ass campaign books. Lots of interesting, good stuff.
All right, Ann Coulter, thanks for being with us, and I'm glad it worked out for all of us last night. Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye, Howie.
Bye-bye. 1-844-500-4242. I'm Howie Carr.
There's only one Howie Carr.